Tonight, as you settle into a place of gentle quiet, let your breath soften and fall into rhythm with a story that unfolds slowly, like light waking beneath ancient ice. In this tale, deep beneath the frozen stillness of Antarctica, scientists touch a vault that has slept longer than history itself, a chamber of luminous crystal that stirs only when it feels the living pulse of a human hand. What begins as a quiet discovery becomes a soft tremor through the world, connecting drifting trench cities, forgotten corridors, and old mountains humming beneath moonlight. And at the center of it all stands Dr. Naomi Carter, whose heartbeat unwittingly becomes the key to a network older than every map ever drawn. So lie back, let the cold distances fade, and imagine a warmth blooming under miles of ice, a signal moving gently through stone, and a world beginning to wake in the calm rhythm of a single, steady breath, yours, and let's begin. The drill stopped with a soft change in sound, like it had bitten through hollow ice. For a moment, no one spoke. The control room above the ice sheet was tight, bright, and full of screens. Numbers rolled. Graphs jumped. Outside, Antarctica stretched in white and gray forever. Breakthrough confirmed, Lucas said, his voice steady but tight. Depth 3,780 meters. We're in. Warm air rose up through the shaft. That should not have been possible. Antarctica at this depth should have been dark, cold, and heavy with frozen silence. Instead, sensors showed something close to a summer afternoon. Temperature 19 degrees Celsius. Ryan read, his brow folding. Oxygen at 21%. Nitrogen stable. Trace gases normal. This looks like open air. Naomi watched the data scroll past. Her heart rate climbed a little. Not from fear, from puzzle. A sealed lake under 4 kilometers of ice should be alien. Crushed water, strange gases. Maybe simple life, not a warm pocket, tuned to human lungs. Check it again, she said. They checked it 3 times. The results did not change. The first probe went down next. A small titanium sphere with cameras and lights. On the screen it showed a narrow shaft, then a widening space. At first there was only black, then a dim blue glow rose from below, like light filtered through frozen water. The camera rotated. Smooth, translucent walls curved around a huge empty space. The surface was not rock, not ice. It shone like polished crystal, faintly blue, faintly alive. This isn't natural, Lucas said softly. Could be some kind of mineral formation, Ryan answered, but he did not sound sure. The probe lowered toward the wall. Its lights brightened. The crystal surface looked almost wet, but held its form. The moment metal touched it, every screen flashed white. Signal lost, Lucas said. Probe is dead. Power glitch, Ryan asked. Lucas shook his head. Total failure. Every circuit fried at the same instant. They tried again with a second probe, then a third. Each machine shut down the moment it made contact. The blue light in the cavern faded to darkness. Static swept across every feed. Bring the probe up, Naomi ordered. Let me see it. The sphere came back scorched on the inside, but with no signs of heat on the outside. It looked like the crystal had reached in and turned its systems off from within. Hours later, after checks, arguments, and emergency meetings with people far above their pay grade, the call came down from the surface command. No more robots. Human contact only. Go see what we're dealing with. The access tunnel was a tight cylinder of ice and metal, just wide enough for a person in a pressure shell suit. Naomi went first, clipped to the guide rail, her breath slow and steady in her ears. Lucas followed. Ryan came last, hauling a pack of medical gear and portable sensors. They reached the base platform. Below them, the shaft opened into blackness. The last working camera had died there minutes before. Naomi's helmet light cut through the darkness like a narrow blade. It landed on something smooth and clear, just a few meters away. She stepped down onto a crystal ledge. Her boots did not slip. The air tasted clean. She felt a light breeze on her cheeks. Helmet seals off, she said. Readings match surface atmosphere. Oxygen and pressure are good. Lucas hesitated, then pulled off his helmet. Ryan did the same. The ledge curved along the wall of a vast chamber. They could not see the far side. Their lights lit only a small arc of the crystal. It was like standing inside a cut gem. Naomi moved along the curve, eyes on the surface. There were no cracks, no seams, no tool marks. It was as if the chamber had grown into this shape. "Stay clipped," Lucas reminded her. "No sudden moves." Naomi placed her gloved hand near the wall and felt something buzz faintly in the air. Her skin tingled under the suit. "Lucas, I'm getting some kind of static charge," she said. "Sensors picking anything up?" "Nothing abnormal," he replied. "Everything reads quiet." She took one more step. The walkway narrowed, and frost glazed part of the metal rail. Her boot slipped. Her body pitched sideways. Instinct reached for support. Her glove hit the crystal with a dull tap. For a fraction of a second, nothing happened. Then the wall lit up. A soft blue glow rippled outward from her touch in a slow pulse, blooming like light in deep water. It moved with a calm rhythm. Bright, dim, bright again. Naomi's heart thudded in her chest. The glow matched it beat for beat. Her breath caught. "Naomi," Lucas called. "What did you do?" "I don't know," she answered, "but it's responding to me." The ice above them began to vibrate with a low, steady note. It was not loud, but she felt it in her bones. The air warmed a few degrees. Her hair lifted slightly, as if charged. Directly in front of her, the crystal surface began to change. A round section, perfectly smooth, folded away without making a sound. It did not crack. It did not break. It simply softened and slid, like glass learning to move. Beyond the opening lay a chamber larger than any cathedral she had seen. Columns of crystal hung from the unseen ceiling, some thick as buildings, some thin as wires. All of them flickered with the same soft blue light, pulsing in time with her heartbeat. "Holy," Ryan started, trailing off as he stepped up beside her. Miles away, surface instruments jumped. Seismographs around the base station ticked with a slow, regular pattern. Farther out, in quiet buildings and floating sensor buoys, graphs jolted in unison. Something deep under Antarctica had turned on. Naomi slowly removed her glove. Her fingers shook as she reached out again, this time bare-skinned. The light in the chamber brightened, steady and strong. The low vibration deepened, but smoothed out, like the system had found a lock. Only then did she realize the truth. It was not responding to metal. It was not responding to their machines. It was responding to her. Naomi stood at the edge of the open circle, her bare hand still resting against the crystal. The blue light stroked the surface of her skin with each pulse, as if it were reading her. The low hum in the ice had settled into a calm, regular rhythm that matched the beat in her chest. "Heart rate at 92, Ryan said, scanning her with his wrist unit. "Blood pressure slightly high, but stable. Your nervous system is spiking, though. Brain activity's up in almost every band. Is it hurting you?" Lucas asked. Naomi listened to her own body for a moment. She felt hot and cold at the same time, like stepping into a foreign climate, but there was no pain, just intensity. "No," she said, "just loud." Above them, the team on the surface watched on delayed feeds. The signal from Naomi's camera lagged and glitched near the crystal, but audio came through clear. They had argued over sending her in first, but in the end it made sense. She was trained for alien life, for strange environments. She had pushed into black smokers on the ocean floor. She had leaned her face close to salt brines on Europa simulations. This was different, but the same part of her mind lit up. "Naomi, we need data." The mission director's voice crackled in her ear. "Careful steps, no hero moves. Understood? Understood," she said quietly. She drew her hand away. The light in the great chamber dimmed a fraction but did not go out. The pulsing shifted, falling slightly out of sync with her heart. The low hum became rough again, like static building against glass. She placed her hand back. Everything cleared. Light, hum, rhythm, all smoothed into a single pattern that matched her. "Lucas, try to step through without touching the wall," she said. Lucas clipped his safety line to a new anchor and moved past her. boots firm on the crystal ledge. He took a breath and stepped into the open circle, crossing the boundary. For a second, nothing changed. Then every light on his suit flickered and died. "Power just dropped," he said. "All systems off." "Come back," Naomi ordered. He backed out. The moment he crossed the opening again, his suit lights returned with a soft blink. "Okay," he said. "That's not spooky at all." "Try tossing in a sensor pack," Ryan suggested. Lucas unhooked a small metal case from his belt and tossed it gently through the round doorway. It slid a few centimeters across the inside floor, then stopped. The status light went dark. Naomi stared at the dead pack. The chamber beyond still glowed, still pulsed with her heartbeat. "It's rejecting our machines," she said. "Anything metal with circuits loses power inside." "Except you," Ryan said. He looked at her bare hand against the crystal. "Whatever this stuff is, it likes your nervous system." "Naomi," the director said in her ear, voice tight, "we're reading weird interference from the chamber. Your biosensors are glitching, but heart and oxygen look okay. We need eyes in there. You're the only system it's keeping on. If you feel any sharp pain, dizziness, hearing changes, anything at all, you pull back. Are we clear?" "Yes," she answered, though her mind was already stepping ahead. She had spent years asking a quiet question. Was human life just a random accident in a cold universe? Or did it obey hidden rules? Deep oceans, frozen moons, toxic vents, every place she had studied life, it had found a way. Patterns had appeared again and again, but none of those patterns felt like this. "Ryan, monitor me," she said. "Lucas, stay just outside the circle. I'm going in." She took a slow breath and stepped through the opening. The first thing she noticed was the air. It was warmer inside, like late spring. It carried a faint metallic taste and a hint of something like ozone after a storm. Gravity felt normal. Her feet had the same weight they did on the surface. The second thing was the sound. It was not a noise in her ears. It was a deep, constant tone inside her bones, tuned to her pulse. Not music, not voice, just a steady presence. "Temperature is 22 degrees, Ryan said from the ledge. "Humidity at 48%. Gravity normal." "Naomi, how do you feel?" "Like I'm standing inside an MRI," she said. "My skin's buzzing." The floor beneath her boots was the same crystal as the walls, smooth but not slippery. Faint lines ran through it in straight paths and curves, lit by the blue pulse. The light ran along those paths like a moving current, gathering in tall columns that rose out of the floor and hung down from the invisible ceiling. Each column was different. Some were thick as tree trunks, others were thin as her wrist. All of them shared the same soft glow, timed to her heart. "It's like the whole room is breathing with you," Lucas said, peering in from the doorway. Naomi took another step. Her portable camera glitched, then steadied. On the surface, technicians adjusted their settings. "Naomi, your EEG just synced with the room," Ryan said, staring at his screen. "Look at this." Lines of brainwave data scrolled across his handheld. The usual messy spikes and dips had smoothed out into regular waves. The pulses in the columns matched them almost perfectly. "It's reading my brain," she said quietly. "Not just my heart." "Reading and mirroring," Ryan said. "The waveforms are lining up almost exactly. It's like it's locking onto your nervous system as a source." Naomi walked toward the nearest column. Up close, the crystal was even stranger. Tiny shapes floated inside it, points of light, arranged in grids and curves. When her hand moved, those lights shifted, as if adjusting to track her. "What happens if you take your hand off the wall?" Lucas asked. "Does it still stay on?" Naomi pulled her hand back from the entrance wall, but stayed inside the chamber. For a moment, nothing changed. Then the pulse drifted, lost its steady timing, and the low hum turned rough again. Her heart rate climbed as she felt a strange pressure behind her eyes. "Put your hand back," Ryan said sharply. She reached sideways and pressed her palm back against the wall near the doorway. The system snapped into sync again. The pressure vanished. Her heart rate slowed. "Okay," she said. "That answers that. I'm not just a key. I'm a stabilizer. When I'm connected, it runs smooth. Ryan looked at his data. This thing is tuned to human bioelectric signals. It ignores metal and plastics. It kills circuits, but your nerves, it loves. Careful with that word, Lucas muttered. They ran tests for the next hour. Ryan stayed on the ledge with his medical pack, streaming whatever he could still measure. He taped extra sensors to Naomi's temples and chest. Simple ones, without complex circuits. Each time he did, the room responded. The lights in the columns sharpened. The pulse grew cleaner. "Look at this, Naomi," he said. "When your heart rate rises, the room brightens. When you calm down, it dims. When you blink, I see tiny spikes in the pattern. It's not just reading me," she said. "It's taking input and adjusting." They tried something else. Lucas reached a hand into the chamber, stretching as far as he could without stepping through. The room did not react. Naomi and Lucas looked at each other. "Ryan," she asked. "Naomi, your genetic profile is still on my screen from pre-mission," he said slowly. "Lucas and I have different ancestry markers. What if it's tuned to a very narrow band, or to something you have that we don't?" "Like what?" Lucas asked. "Her nervous system baseline," Ryan said. "Her REM sleep patterns. Remember the certification? Naomi had that weird REM signature. Olivia flagged years ago. Spike clusters during certain dream stages. Memories flickered through Naomi's mind. A lab in Palo Alto. Wires on her scalp. Her sister Olivia watching lines of data climb and fall as she slept. "You think this room was waiting for someone with my sleep pattern?" Naomi asked, half to herself. "I don't know," Ryan said, "but I know this. All metal systems fail near the crystal, but your living nerves hold it open. That means it was built to talk to bodies, not machines." On the surface, the mission director spoke into the link. "Naomi, we're seeing something else. The low-frequency signal from your site is slowly spreading through the bedrock. Global sensors are picking up a matched pulse at very low amplitude. It's like the planet is carrying this room's heartbeat. Stay put. We're dispatching analysis teams." Naomi looked around the chamber. Tall columns flickered with her thoughts. Lines of light ran under her feet like slow rivers. Her quiet obsession had always been this. Was life random noise, or part of a pattern too wide to see? Standing here, with her brainwaves painted in light and sent through stone, she felt the weight of a different answer. This place was not human-built, but it was human-shaped. The air matched their lungs. The gravity matched their bones. The interface matched her nerves. She was not a visitor in a strange room. She was the missing piece it had been designed to wait for. While Naomi stood inside the vault under Lake Vostok, the signal moved out. It traveled down through the crystal base, into the old rock below Antarctica, and from there into the deep bones of the planet. It was not loud. It was slow and patient, a deep electromagnetic wave that slipped through stone and water like sound through glass. "Our magnetometers are jumping in sync with your heart rate. Seismic monitors too. The pattern is passing straight into the bedrock." Naomi looked at the nearest column. Her pulse moved through it as light. "How far does it go?" she asked. "Global," came the answer. "Thousands of kilometers away, off the coast of Monterey, California." The Pacific was calm on the surface. Navy vessels rolled gently in gray water, sensors hanging from their hulls, listening to the deep. In the sonar room of the command ship, an operator stared at the screen. "Sir, the trench anomaly just moved again," she said. On the display, a shape sat in the dark, a grid of sharp lines nearly 10 kilometers below, deep in the ocean trench. They called it the Trench City, though no one believed it was a real city. It shifted between scans, sliding sideways or rising a few meters, never in a clear pattern. "Log the jump," the officer replied without looking up. The operator hesitated. "It's not the same, sir. Look at the timing." On her screen, a timer ran in bright numbers. It ticked in 6-second beats. Each time it ticked down to 0, the trench structure nudged, always in a short, neat motion. 6 seconds later, another move. 6 seconds later, another. "Is that Regular, the officer asked. Yes, sir. Movement exactly, every 6 seconds. Not random anymore. She pulled up an external feed from the Antarctic Science Net, something she kept minimized in the corner of her screen. A simple line graph showed a low-frequency signal rising from Lake Vostok. Its main pulse peaked every 6 seconds. The numbers matched. Sir, she said slowly, the trench is moving in perfect time with Antarctica. In Wyoming, in a once quiet valley that now held a mountain that had no business being there, other sensors stirred. The mountain had risen years before, in a sudden quake that no one could explain. It was the wrong age. The rock was wrong. Inside it, hidden frameworks of unknown metal, Tartarian alloy, formed a lattice that looked like scaffolding for a machine too large to imagine. The U.S. Geological Survey had placed seismic meters all around it. Most days, they recorded little, tiny tremors, a steady hum. On this day, graphs on a lab wall began to dance. Look at these spikes, a technician said, pointing to the nearest monitor. Regular intervals every 6 seconds. It's like a metronome inside the mountain. Could it be drilling? His colleague asked. No equipment is active right now, the first replied. This is internal. He switched to a different feed, data from a magnetometer mounted near the Tartarian alloy beams. It showed the same rhythm, tiny rises and falls in the local field, matching the tremors in time. This thing hasn't done that before, he said. It's never been this clean. Farther east, near Lake Michigan, a small team sat at folding tables in a damp underground base. Years ago, a sinkhole had opened in a field. Under the soil, they had found carved corridors, human-sized, smooth, and old beyond belief. No tools had left those marks. No records told of their building. Sensors ran along the ancient passage walls now, glued and bolted into place. Wires trailed back to the makeshift lab. Signal change, a young scientist said, eyes wide. We're getting a new pattern. Her supervisor walked over. Show me. On the screen, a clean waveform rolled across, a deep frequency pulsing every 6 seconds, strong and steady. That's not background noise, he said. That's a carrier signal. Direction, she asked. He frowned. Checked the array. It's everywhere. Coming through the rock from below, not along the corridor. It's like the whole crust is vibrating with it. He clicked a link to the global data net. A new alert pulsed at the top of the feed. Low frequency anomaly. Source Antarctica. Signal spreading. He scrolled. Monterey, Wyoming, Michigan. Different labs. Same rhythm. Back under Lake Vostok, Naomi moved her hand a few centimeters along the crystal wall. The columns responded like a single organism, adjusting their glow. Her heart beat steady. The room matched. Naomi, Ryan said, voice tight with a mix of awe and worry. Surface just sent us a compiled update. I'm patching it to your visor. A simple overlay appeared in the corner of her view. A world map, points of light flicked on. Antarctica, central Wyoming, Lake Michigan, the deep Pacific Trench, lines traced between them underground, not straight but clear. These are the sites, she asked. Yes, Ryan said, the trench city near Monterey, the Lake Michigan corridors, the Wyoming mountain with the Tartarian alloy. All of them are resonating at the same frequency as this vault, same timing, down to microseconds. That's impossible by chance, unless they're built as nodes of one system, Lucas said quietly from the doorway. The director's voice cut in. Naomi, our ocean team reports the trench structure is now shifting only on the rhythm from your site. It used to jump at random. Now it moves like clockwork, every 6 seconds, in sync with your chamber's pulse. Wyoming, Lake Michigan, and the trench, Ryan added, all on the same beat. Your beat. When your heart speeds up, the timing changes. When you calm, it slows. The whole network is following you. Naomi's chest tightened. She took a slow breath and watched her pulse on the nearby column. The blue glow softened, then matched her calmer rhythm. So if I panic, she began. The whole planet jumps with you, Lucas finished. He tried to sound light, but his jaw was clenched. "Naomi," the director said, "we're modeling energy distribution. The power levels at distant sites are still low, but they're rising. This is not just a signal, it's activation. The trench city's geometry is shifting into new configurations. The Tartarian alloy frames in Wyoming are conducting. The Lake Michigan corridor's walls are vibrating in a pattern, the same pattern we see in your chamber lines." Naomi looked down at her feet. Faint paths of light ran through the crystal floor, branching like circuits beneath a glass surface. Each pulse sent a soft glow along those paths, outward, into the distance. "It's a network," she said. "This room is a hub, and the sites are nodes. They've been asleep, waiting for this frequency. Waiting for you," Ryan said. Naomi shook her head. "Not me, exactly. Waiting for a human nervous system that fits whatever they built for." On the ship near Monterey, the officer watched new sonar images come in. The trench city's sharp angles shifted at each 6-second mark, forming patterns they had never seen. Not random jumps, stepwise changes, like frames in an animation. "Sir, we can predict where it'll be in the next scan now," the operator said. "Exactly. It's following a script." "What script?" he asked. She glanced at the Antarctic feed, at Naomi's heart rate graph in the corner. Hers. In Wyoming, the Tartarian alloy sang. At first the vibrations were too low to hear, but software sped them up and converted them into audio. In the lab, speakers played a strange, clear tone that rose and fell with the same 6-second beat. "It's carrying data," the technician said, watching spectral lines move. "We're seeing structured harmonics. This is not pure sine. There's information on top." "Information from where?" his colleague asked. He shrugged. "From Lake Vostok, probably. From that crystal vault. The timing is locked. As long as that woman's in there, this thing runs." In the Lake Michigan corridors, the air cold and still, the old stone walls vibrated with the new signal. Dust fell from carved ceilings in lazy drifts, tiny cracks traced along surfaces that had not moved in unknown ages. Seismic activity is at safe levels, but it's building, the scientist there said into her headset. The corridors aren't just responding, they're warming, slightly. Temperature up 0.5 degree in the last hour. Our ground-penetrating radar shows some kind of deeper layers under the current tunnels. They're brightening in the scan, as if they're turning on. On Naomi's visor, the world map updated. Lines between nodes grew thicker, shaded from faint gray to deeper blue. "The transmission strength is increasing," the director said. "Naomi, we think staying connected is amplifying the output. Your nervous system is acting like a carrier booster. The vault is using you to push its signal through the crust. And if I step out?" she asked. There was a pause. "Models suggest the signal would weaken but not die," Ryan said carefully. "You've already started something. The system might have its own momentum now. But while you're in contact," Lucas added, "you're not just the key, you're steering. The pattern follows your heart and brain." Naomi closed her eyes for a moment. Behind her eyelids, she saw shapes after images from the flickering columns. Grids, curves, not random. Her thoughts skated at the edge of them without finding meaning. "Naomi?" Ryan asked. "You okay?" "I'm seeing structures when I blink," she said, "like maps or diagrams made of light. When I focus, they change." "Your EEG is doing something wild," Ryan replied. "New band activity. The vault is probably feeding back into your brain, not just reading it." On the ship in Monterey, the sonar operator watched the trench city finish a sequence of moves and settle into a new shape. For the first time, the outline on the screen matched something in the public Antarctic feed, a rough, simplified version of the crystal chamber's layout, rotated and stretched, but clear. "Sir," she said, "the trench structure is imitating the Antarctic vault's geometry." In Wyoming, a computer running pattern recognition flagged a match between the vibrating Tartarian frames and the Lake Michigan corridor cross-sections. They were different pieces of the same design. In the Michigan lab, the supervisor stared at overlays: trench city layout, corridor network, Tartarian alloy scaffold. When all three were plotted together and scaled, they formed a rough map of Earth's crust, with the nodes placed at key stress points and deep junctions. "This isn't random," he said, recording the conclusion. "This is a planet-wide machine waking up. Antarctica is the main switch. The others are local stations." Back under Lake Vostok, Naomi opened her eyes. The columns answered by shifting their internal points of light. The low hum under her skin deepened, gaining a faint pattern like distant drums hitting at precise intervals. Naomi, the director, said, "We had separate mysteries. The moving trench structure, the impossible corridors, the Tartarian alloy mountain, all of them puzzled us for years. Now they're teaching us something we didn't think to ask. That they were never separate," Naomi said quietly. "They were parts of a system, waiting for the same signal. And that signal," Ryan added, looking at her with a mix of fear and respect, "runs on the same frequency as your living nerves." Naomi looked at her hand on the crystal wall. It did not feel like stone or metal. It felt like touching cool skin that held a storm of data beneath. The planet was waking, site by site, on a rhythm her body was helping to set. She had wanted to know if humans were alone in their design. The answer was rising through rock and water. Now, beat after beat, from trenches and tunnels and mountains, all tuned to a pulse that matched the human heart. Naomi did not sleep. Hours passed in the vault. The blue columns rose and fell with her heartbeat. The low hum under her skin stayed steady, riding along her nerves. Her body was tired, but her mind was sharp and thin, like glass about to crack. On the surface, the sky over Antarctica had shifted from cold gray to darker blue. Inside the control room, screens glowed in rows. People spoke in short bursts, heads bent over graphs and maps, coffee cups piled in corners. Ryan sat in a side room, a light box shining over his face, eyes red from reading reports. Lucas stood near the main display, arms crossed. A new notification flashed on the center screen. Encrypted brief. Origin, Palo Alto. Priority, Carter. The mission director tapped it open. A video window appeared. A woman in her 40s looked out at them, dark hair pulled back, eyes sharp behind simple glasses. "Dr. Olivia Carter," the director said. "Naomi's sister." Olivia spoke first. "Signal confirmed. I've compared your Lake Vostok carrier frequency with our REM sleep data. It's a match, not just close, exact, down to microsecond timing and phase." Ryan sat up straighter. "Wait, the same as human REM sleep?" Olivia nodded. "Yes. The vault is amplifying the same strange pattern we've seen for years in human dreams." The director frowned. "You'll need to explain that for the room. Keep it simple." Olivia took a breath. Behind her, on her own screen in Palo Alto, colored lines traced across black graphs, brainwaves. Naomi knew, even from this distance. "You all know normal brain activity," Olivia said. "When we're awake, the brain runs in mixed waves. During deep sleep, it slows and smooths. But during REM sleep, when we dream, the brain shifts into fast, complex rhythms. For years, we thought those rhythms were just the brain's way of processing memories and emotions." She tapped a key. A clean waveform appeared. A low, slow rise and fall with tiny, sharp bumps on top. "Thanks to a global sleep study 20 years ago," she continued, "we saw something else. Underneath the usual dream waves, there is a hidden carrier signal. It's very weak, easy to miss. But it's there in humans all over the world. The same low-frequency pattern, the same timing, everywhere." Ryan leaned toward the screen. "You found a shared REM frequency in people across the planet?" "Yes," Olivia said. "Most of the time it's buried in noise. Only our best arrays even detect it. But it's stable. It looks like this." The low wave on her graph pulsed every 6 seconds, with small repeating details in between. Lucas glanced at the main Lake Vostok screen. The vault's signal graph sat there, pulsing every 6 seconds, with the same little bumps. "That's identical," he said. Olivia nodded. "When your team sent us the Lake Vostok carrier data, I almost passed out. It's the same pattern I've been mapping in human REM for half my career. Same base frequency, same substructure. The vault is taking the tiny carrier humans make during dreams and blasting it across the planet." The director looked unsettled. "So humans have been quietly sending this signal in their sleep for generations, and we never knew what it meant." "Correct," Olivia said. "We saw it, but we didn't know it was a signal. Now we do." The vault is the amplifier. We are the original source. Ryan rubbed his face. Wait, are you saying that every time a human dreams, they ping this system, like a heartbeat? In simple words, yes, Olivia said. Our brains carry this pattern during REM sleep. It's not thoughts or images. It's a basic rhythm, the same in every culture, every language, every life. The vault is tuned to that rhythm. When Naomi touched the crystal, the vault locked onto her nervous system and boosted that same pattern into the crust. Lucas pointed at the world map, and the Trench City, the Lake Michigan corridors, the Wyoming mountain. They answered. They were listening all along, Olivia said. But our natural signal was too weak, like a person trying to shout across a storm. The vault is a megaphone. Now Earth can hear us from inside itself. In the vault, Naomi listened to her sister's voice through the headset, hearing Olivia cut through her fog. For a minute, she was 15 again, lying in a Palo Alto lab bed with wires on her head, hearing Olivia say, Naomi, you're doing great. Just sleep. Olivia, Naomi said softly, her voice feeding back to the surface. Tell me straight. Did you know this would happen? Olivia's face softened. No. I knew your REM pattern was odd. Remember? Stronger carrier spikes. I flagged it as anomalous but stable. I thought maybe it meant you processed dreams differently. I did not think you'd turn on a planet. Naomi gave a tired half smile, comforting. Olivia looked past the camera, likely at her own data. Naomi, listen. Your brain has always had a slightly louder version of this carrier. That might be why the vault synced with you so fast. But every human we've scanned has some version of it. This is not just about you. This is about us as a species. Ryan turned to the main team. So here's the simple version. During REM sleep, our brains produce a faint, steady pulse. We never knew why. Now we see that pulse matches the vault's main frequency. It's like every human is born with a built-in signal that fits this system. Like a key shape, Lucas said quietly. We're all cut from the same design. A silence sat in the room. Even distant typing stopped for a moment. The director broke it. Okay, everyone, focus. We have to turn this into clear facts. Dr. Olivia Carter, please restate this in 3 points. Short. Olivia nodded. Point 1. Humans share a special REM sleep frequency, a very low, weak carrier wave present only during dreaming. Point 2. The Lake Vostok Vault emits that exact same frequency now, only much stronger. It is amplifying what our brains already produce. Point 3. Once amplified, that frequency wakes and links the global anomalies. Trench City, Lake Michigan corridors, Wyoming mountain. They are all parts of one system responding to our signal. Thank you, the director said. Naomi, Ryan, Lucas, you copy that summary. Got it, Ryan said. Clear, Lucas added. Yes, Naomi said. Eyes on the nearest column of crystal. I copy. Next question, the director went on. What does this mean in practice? Olivia looked serious. It means humans were always part of this machine, even before we found it. Every night, for thousands of years, we did a tiny, weak version of what Naomi is doing now. We dreamed, and the planet listened, but not loud enough to fully wake. Ryan blew out a slow breath, so we built cities, wrote books, flew rockets, and all that time, our brains were sending a quiet "I'm here" to something under our feet. And that something, Lucas said, was built to respond only to human biology. Naomi slid down the wall until she was sitting on the crystal floor, still keeping her palm on the surface. The columns dimmed a little, adjusting to her new posture, but stayed in rhythm. Olivia, she asked, can you explain the REM thing in simpler words? For me, pretend I'm not a scientist. Her sister smiled faintly. Okay, when you dream, your eyes move, your body goes mostly still, and your brain lights up in special ways. Along with all the complex patterns, there is a simple beat underneath. Think of it as a bass drum in a song. That drum hits at a steady pace. The same in kids, adults, old people, across cultures. We didn't know what that bass beat was for. Now we do. It's the same beat this vault uses to talk and listen. So our dreams have been the background music for this machine, Naomi said. More like the power cord, Olivia replied. The vault runs on a version of that same rhythm. With you inside, the volume is turned way up. The planet can finally hear it clearly enough to answer. On a side screen, a new briefing window opened. The director let it float over the map. Global Dreamlink briefing, internal distribution only. He read quickly. Teams in Europe and Asia confirm Olivia's data. Historic EEG records show the same hidden REM pattern going back as far as records go. Even early analog scans show hints. This isn't new. This is baked into human brains. Ryan looked down at his wrist unit, then back up. So the trench city, the corridors, the mountain, they're not separate mysteries we stumbled onto. They're all reacting to the same event. Naomi's full-strength version of a signal humans have always sent in our sleep. Yes, Olivia said. The ignition event wasn't just her touching the wall. It was the vault finally hearing a strong enough signal to turn the network on. Her contact just pushed it over the edge. Lucas shifted in the doorway of the vault. Naomi, do you remember those weird dreams you told me about years ago? The ones with grids and lights? She nodded slowly. Since I was a kid, I thought it was just my brain playing with patterns. Olivia, did you ever compare my dreams to your REM carrier data? Olivia hesitated. I couldn't see your dreams, only your brainwaves. But yes, your REM carrier was stronger than usual and had extra harmonics. It's in your file. I shared it with you. I skimmed, Naomi admitted. Of course you did, Olivia said, a bit of dry humor in her voice. Naomi, those dreams might have been your brain's way of touching this system before you even knew it was there. Low signal, no effect, but the pattern was there. Naomi looked up at the tall columns. The points of light inside them shifted into faint grid shapes, like the ones she had seen in her sleep 1,000 times. I think it's sharing back now, she said. When I close my eyes, I see more than just after images. I see maps, layers, connections. We need to brief that properly. The director cut in. But first, we need Naomi to understand the stakes. He pulled the global map to the center of the main screen. The nodes glowed brighter now. Antarctica pulsed steady blue. Lines reached to Monterey, Wyoming, Lake Michigan, and other faint points that were only now waking up. This is the situation, he said. Naomi, the dreams, the trench structure, the corridors, the mountain, none of them were separate puzzles. They are parts of a single, planet-spanning system. Your touch on the vault was the ignition event. Your nervous system is now the key signal keeping that system awake and growing. In simple talk, Ryan added, you made the quiet dream beat loud enough for Earth's hidden machine to hear. Now it's listening to you, and it's answering everywhere at once. Is it dangerous? Naomi asked. Olivia did not answer right away. Ryan looked troubled. Lucas watched her steadily. We don't know yet, the director said honestly. So far, the movements and tremors are small. No cities are falling, no tsunamis. But the energy is rising, and the structures are changing. This is not a small thing. Naomi pressed her hand more firmly against the wall. The column nearest her brightened, then pulsed with a more complex pattern. For a moment, she saw clear lines in her mind. The trench city's layout, the corridor network, the alloy scaffold, all tied together like circuits. People have been sending this signal for ages, she said softly. Every night, billions of brains humming the same pattern. If this system wanted to hurt us, wouldn't it have done so long ago? Maybe it never heard us clearly until now, Lucas said. Maybe we needed enough humans, enough signal, or the right kind of contact. Or maybe it was built to wait for a willing connection, Olivia added. Your choice to touch the crystal with your bare hand, that matters. DNA, fear level, consent. We don't know how deep its rules go. On the ship near Monterey, a new message came in from Antarctic Command. The officer read it and turned to his crew. Update, he said. The Antarctic Vault's signal has been linked to human REM sleep. This trench structure isn't just moving at random. It's reacting to a human dream frequency amplified through the planet. The sonar operator stared at the screen where the trench city shifted into a new pattern. So we're watching the ocean floor move to the rhythm of some scientist's brain under the ice. That about sums it up, the officer said. In Wyoming, the lab speakers now played two sounds at once, the local Tartarian alloy vibrations, and then, layered on top, an old REM sleep sample from their archives. The patterns lined up almost perfectly when slowed and matched. In the Lake Michigan base, the team overlaid human REM carrier data on the corridor wall vibrations. The fit was exact. Back in the vault, Naomi closed her eyes. This time, she did not just see vague shapes. She saw structured images, like blueprints made of light. Lines stretched across a globe. Nodes blinked at deep points under oceans and continents. Each blink matched a far-off feeling in her chest, a tiny tug, like distant heartbeats answering hers. "Naomi," Ryan's voice came through, softer now. "What do you see?" "Maps," she said. "Not of cities or roads, of connections inside the planet. Like nerve paths in a brain. The trench, the corridors, the mountain. They're bright spots. There are others too, dim now, but waking. Your EEG is in a dreamlike state," Olivia said, watching her own screens. "But you're awake. The vault is pushing your brain into a REM-like pattern without sleep." "So I'm dreaming with my eyes open," Naomi said. "And the planet is hearing that dream as a control signal," Ryan added. The director cleared his throat. "Naomi, we need your consent for the next steps. You must understand what we're asking. The network is still ramping up. You can, in theory, break contact now. The signal will drop in strength. The nodes may go quiet again, or settle into a low-power state. Or you can stay connected and let this system fully wake, using your nervous system as its main link to humanity." He waited. "This isn't something we can order," he went on. "This is your body, your brain, and possibly the future of every person on this planet. But we need to brief you first before you decide. Olivia will help." On the screen, Olivia looked at her little sister through the camera. For a moment, she did not look like a scientist. She looked like family. "Naomi," she said softly, "remember when we were kids, and you asked me if humans were a fluke or part of some bigger plan? I told you science didn't answer that. It just gave us tools. Well, this is one of those moments. The data says humans were at least part of some design. Our REM signal matches this vault too well to be random." Naomi opened her eyes. The columns waited, bright and quiet. "So we're not just visitors on this planet," she said. "We're built into its systems." "Yes," Olivia said, "not as fuel, from what we can tell. As the control layer, the nervous system on the surface, talking to the nervous system below." Ryan added, "If that's true, then shutting it down might mean turning off something humans were meant to use, but never knew about." Lucas sighed. "And letting it run might mean waking up a machine we don't fully understand, using a signal tied to the most private part of us, our dreams." The director spoke again. "In the next chapter of this operation, Naomi, we will ask you to make a choice. Maintain contact and help this network wake fully, or disconnect and push it back towards sleep. Before we ask that, we will try to learn as much as we can about its rules, its limits, and its respect or lack of respect for human will." He glanced at Olivia. "For now, the key fact is this: the vault's carrier frequency is the same as the REM sleep signal humans quietly broadcast in their dreams. The ignition event tied all our strange sights to that same beat, and you, Dr. Naomi Carter, are the loudest single source it has ever heard." Naomi looked around the living crystal hall, at the pillars rising into darkness, at the floor beneath her that glowed with her pulse. She thought about babies sleeping in safe rooms, old men napping in chairs, lovers dozing side by side, every dream, every night, all humming the same soft pattern for ages. "How alone we thought we were," she said quietly. "And all this time, the planet was listening to us breathe in our sleep." The vault answered with a gentle brightening of light, as if to say, "I hear you now." Naomi woke without knowing when she had fallen asleep. Her neck hurt, her back was stiff, her hand still rested against the crystal wall. The blue columns around her glowed in a soft, steady rhythm that was not quite the same as before. The hum under her skin had changed too. It felt deeper, closer to the center of her body. "Naomi, you with us?" Ryan's voice came through the headset, a little rough with worry and lack of sleep. "Yeah," she said, throat dry. "How long was I out?" 43 minutes, he replied. "We tried to wake you, but your EEG looked busy. The vault held you in some kind of safe cocoon. Heart and breathing were stable the whole time." Lucas added from the doorway, "You were talking in your sleep, or half sleep, saying numbers, long strings of numbers." Naomi frowned. "I don't remember that." She did remember the visions, though. While she had been half asleep, if that word even fit, she had seen maps. Not paper maps, not satellite images. More like glowing webs laid over a dark sphere. Lines ran deep under oceans and mountains. Points lit up at certain crossings, each point breathing in time with a quiet, slow beat. Those points felt like minds, but not human minds. More like quiet stations waiting for orders. "How do you feel?" Ryan asked. "Stretched," Naomi said. "Like my nerves are longer than my body. Like I could reach my hand down through the floor and touch something under South America if I wanted to. That's not a feeling I can log in a standard form," Ryan said. "But your vitals look okay, slightly elevated brain activity. Your REM bands are active even though you're awake." "That fits," she said. "I was dreaming with my eyes closed. Not normal dreams. Structured." Lucas stepped a little closer to the opening, careful not to break the invisible boundary where his systems cut out. "What kind of structured?" he asked. "Like random shapes, or like plans?" "Like plans," Naomi said. "Layers of them. The more I looked, the more detail I saw. It was like zooming into a city map and seeing that every street is made of smaller streets, and those are made of even smaller paths." Ryan adjusted his glasses. "The vault is deepening the link to your nervous system. It's not just mirroring anymore. It's feeding data back into your brain in patterns it knows you can process, probably using your own REM language." Naomi looked up at the nearest column. The tiny points of light inside it shifted. When she focused, almost like they were reacting to her thoughts, alone, not just her physical touch. "Do we know more about the other sites?" she asked. "What are they doing while I nap inside a planet?" On the surface, in the control room, screens were a mess of graphs and feeds. The director nodded to an analyst, who pushed a few windows forward. "Naomi, since your last check-in, we've seen increased activity at all known nodes," the director said. "The trench city has changed form 3 times. Each new layout matches new parts of the vault's interior that we've scanned. The Lake Michigan corridors are warming and starting to grow new side paths at stress points your vault maps predicted, and the Tartarian framework in Wyoming is carrying higher loads without any sign of stress. It's like the whole system is stretching its arms after a long sleep." Naomi tried to imagine the planet as a body, the Antarctic vault as a brain, the nodes as joints and organs. "Any harm so far?" she asked. "Quakes, faults, floods?" "Minor tremors," the director said, "well within natural levels. Some strange tides near Monterey, but nothing damaging. So far, this thing is careful. Careful, or just slow," Lucas said under his breath. Ryan watched Naomi closely. "What exactly did you see when you closed your eyes?" Naomi thought for a moment before answering. She did not want to sound crazy, even though everyone in this situation was already past normal. "When I close my eyes now," she said slowly, "I don't just see columns. I see a map of connections under the crust. Not all of it at once. Parts light up when I focus, like my attention is a cursor moving over a huge system diagram." She closed her eyes again. The chamber faded. The map returned. At first she saw the Earth as a dark ball. Then fine lines of light arched across it from deep point to deep point, forming a mesh. Some lines were bright and strong. Those were the known nodes. Others were faint, like half-formed wires waiting for current. As she watched, new dim nodes began to glow, deep under the Indian Ocean, beneath parts of Siberia, under old stable parts of Africa. All of them pulsed with the same slow rhythm. "I'm seeing new node sites," she said. "More than we knew. The network is bigger than our current map. A lot bigger. Can you count them? Olivia's voice cut in from Palo Alto. She sounded more awake now, more focused, as if she had napped and then dived straight back in. Naomi tried to zoom out in her mind. The sphere spun lazily. Lights dotted its surface, above and below the oceans. Hundreds, she said. Maybe thousands. Some are just ghosts. Some are awake. The ones that are awake feel closer to me. Define feel, Olivia said. Describe the sensation from inside, not as a scientist, but as yourself. Naomi searched for words. They feel like muscles I could flex if I wanted to. But they also feel like minds, not thinking like humans, but ready to respond, like waiting cursors, like you said once in your lab, Liv. Olivia was quiet a moment. So the vault is not just broadcasting, it's giving you access to control paths. That's what it feels like, Naomi said. When I think about a node, Monterey, Wyoming, Michigan, the lines to those places brighten. My heart rate changes. The vault adjusts. Ryan checked his screen. Yes, we see that. When you mention a site, we see a tiny spike in that region's signal, delayed only by the time it takes for the wave to travel through the crust. It's like your thoughts are pinging each node. Can she control them? Lucas asked. Or is she just lighting them up? I haven't tried to make them do anything, Naomi said quickly. I'm just looking, touching in my head. Olivia's voice was gentle. Don't try to control them yet. The system is huge. We have no idea what input levels cause what output. We need to understand its rules first. Speaking of rules, the director said, here's what we think we know now. 1. The hidden infrastructure uses crystal and unknown alloy frameworks to carry a low-frequency signal through the whole planet. 2. That signal is keyed to human REM sleep frequency. 3. Machines fail near the crystal, but human nervous systems don't. They stabilize it and let it shift modes. 4. Naomi's contact has given her partial access to system maps. Ryan added. And 5. Everything we've seen suggests this setup was designed to respond only to human biological signals. No other animal EEG we've tested matches the carrier wave, not even close, which points to an ugly answer, Lucas said. Humans did not just grow up on top of this system by accident. It was built, or tuned for us. Or we were tuned for it. Naomi opened her eyes. The chamber returned. The columns stood around her like tall, patient witnesses. Ryan, what do my genetics say, she asked, about this REM thing? Is it in all of us the same way? Ryan scrolled through her pre-mission file. Your REM carrier is stronger than average and has more harmonics. But the base pattern is there in every human sample we have, across continents, across ages. So our DNA carries a built-in signal shape, Naomi said. Our brains grow into it. When we dream, we play that shape, and this vault is built to take that and run with it. Olivia stepped in on the feed again. In other words, Naomi, humanity may be the control layer for a planetary machine. We were seeded or shaped to fit it, like a key cut to match a lock. Naomi thought of the banned words she could not say now. Lock, key, control. It all sat heavy in her chest. What if somebody made us? She asked quietly, not in a myth way, in a lab way. What if some old civilization, human or not, built this network first, then built or changed us to talk to it? We don't have proof, the director said, but the match between our REM carrier and the vault's frequency suggests a design connection. Either we built it in a deep, forgotten past, or something built both it and us to work together. Or both, Ryan added. Maybe an earlier version of us helped build it under guidance from something, and we lost the story, but kept the hardware in our genes. Lucas rubbed his forehead. So Earth might be a machine guided by human dreams. Naomi let that sit for a moment. In her mind, she pictured the billions of people on the planet, each one lying in bed at night, going slack and then slipping into dreams. Each brain humming the same faint beat. Each beat now carried and boosted through the vault she sat in. I always wanted to know if we were alone, she said. Now I know we're not. We share this world with a machine as old as the crust, and it's tuned to our heads. Which brings us to the hard part. The director said, "What do we do with it?" A quiet fell over the channel. Only the faint sound of equipment and typing could be heard in the background. "Naomi," Olivia said gently, "you're already deeper in than anyone else. The vault has wrapped itself around your nervous system. If we try to force you out, we might hurt you. If we leave you there, we might wake the full network. We need to balance you against 7, 8, 10 billion other humans. Tell me the options," Naomi said. Her voice surprised her. It was steady. Ryan pulled up a chart, more for himself than for her. Option A, you break contact now. You pull your hand off the wall and step out of the chamber. The vault will probably shut to standby mode. The signal will drop. The nodes might quiet down or stay at a low hum. You live. The system goes back to being background noise. Maybe forever. Maybe until someone else with a similar profile touches it again. Option B, Lucas said quietly. You stay connected. You let the network fully wake. We keep monitoring. We learn what this thing can do. It might help us climate control, tectonic smoothing, energy flow, or it might do things we didn't ask for. Or option C, the director added. We try to shut the vault down with force while you're connected. Cut power, drop explosives, flood the chamber. We'd risk killing you, damaging the system, and triggering unknown failsafes. This is not really an option, in my view, unless the network starts to clearly threaten lives. Naomi swallowed. Thanks for the cheery third choice. We owe you honesty, the director said. Ryan leaned into view of a camera so she could see his face. Naomi, your health is already under stress. Your EEG is in a mixed state no textbook has ever seen. The vault is safe with you, but we don't know for how long. If you stay plugged in, there's a chance your nervous system will adapt. There's also a chance it'll burn out. How long can I keep doing this? She asked. Hours for sure, Ryan said. Days, maybe. Weeks, I don't know. Your brain wasn't built to be a router for a planet. Lucas nodded. If you choose to stay, we need to think about how to share the load. Maybe other volunteers. Other keys with strong REM carriers. Spread the signal among many people, instead of just you. That's a nice thought, Olivia said. But we don't know if the vault will accept more than one main link. Right now it has chosen Naomi. It may not want to share. We'd have to test with extreme care. Naomi listened. The hum inside her had grown so familiar that it felt like part of her own blood. What does the vault want? She asked suddenly. Not what we guess. What does it actually want? Has anyone tried to ask? The room on the surface went quiet for a moment. Then Ryan said, How do you ask a machine what it wants? Naomi closed her eyes again. Like this, she said. She focused on the part of her mind that the vault had been touching all along, the place where the maps appeared and the lines lit up. She formed a simple question there, not with words but with feeling. What are you for? Are you safe for us? The hum under her shifted. In her inner view, the globe maps zoomed in. She saw a cross-section of Earth, crust, mantle, core. Lines of light ran through the mantle like veins. Some lines hugged plate boundaries, others cut across old scars. Where they met, nodes pulsed. Images flowed through her mind, not in order, but clear. First, she saw ancient storms. Lightning flashed over wild seas. Volcanoes spat into gray skies. Continents cracked and slid. Then, slowly, the network's lines brightened, and the storms softened. The plates still moved, but smoother, less violent. The sea currents steadied. Next, she saw ice sheets grow and melt. The network dimmed some nodes and brightened others. Cold ages shortened. Harsh flickers in the planet's history smoothed into gentler waves. Then, more recent images. Cities glowing at night, seen from above. No sound, just light. The network's lines shifted underneath them, careful, as if not to break anything on the surface. She understood. It's a regulator, she said aloud, a stabilizer. It takes the raw chaos of geology and climate and smooths it, not perfectly, but enough to calm the worst swings. Olivia sounded stunned. The planet has its own control system. built in, Naomi said. This network is like a second nervous system for Earth. It steers energy, spreads stress, evens out bad spikes. Ryan looked at his graphs. That fits the weird data in the deep. Record why some expected superquakes never happened, why some expected ancient impacts didn't cause total, runaway effects. Maybe this thing has been running at low power behind the scenes, guided by our dream signal the whole time. Or running on some backup mode, Lucas said, waiting for a stronger control layer to really take the wheel. Naomi pushed a little deeper, gently. Another question, and humans. What do you want from us? The answer did not come as pictures, but as a sensation, reaching, then waiting, like a hand held out for someone to take, but refusing to grab first. It felt respectful. It won't move without a human link, Naomi said softly. Full power, I mean. It can do basics alone, but if it wants to do large changes, it needs a connection like this, and it won't force it. Meaning, the director asked. Meaning this, Naomi said. It was built with a rule. No full activation without a willing human nervous system in the loop. Maybe more than one, but at least one that chooses to connect. That's a safety, Olivia said slowly. A consent rule baked into a planetary machine. Lucas let out a low, breathy laugh. Someone out there understood ethics better than most of us. Or they feared us, Ryan said. Feared that a system like this, running wild without our input, could wipe us out by accident. Naomi opened her eyes again. The vault around her seemed a little less alien now, a little more like a partner. Either way, she said, it won't fully wake unless I let it, or unless someone like me does. It has been waiting through our whole history for us to choose. Not to bump it by mistake, but to stay with it on purpose. The director took a slow breath. So here is the choice in clear terms, Naomi. Option A, you break contact and the network returns to low-power background mode. The world keeps going as it has, with some hidden help from a system we barely understand. We might lock this place away and make sure no one ever touches it again, or we might study it in tiny bits, slowly, without full access. Option B, Olivia said, voice gentle but firm. You stay connected long enough to help it fully wake. That may make Earth more stable than it has ever been. It may also change our relationship with this planet in ways we cannot predict. We become true operators of a machine we've unknowingly sat on for ages. And option C, Ryan added reluctantly. We try to share the link among multiple humans, so you don't carry it alone. But that still means someone, some group, chooses to plug in. The network will be ours to guide or misuse. Naomi shifted her weight. Her palm pressed harder into the smooth crystal. It no longer felt cold. It felt like skin over a pulse. What if I step away now? She asked. But later we come back with a plan. What if we find people who agree to link in shifts with rules, with watchers? The vault may accept that, Olivia said, but we don't know if it will ever offer you this same depth again. First contact moments are special. It might choose a different primary link next time, or none at all. Lucas spoke quietly. Naomi, whatever you do, you're not doing it alone. We're here. Olivia's here. The whole team is here. But the final yes or no has to come from you. The system is built to hear a single human body choose. Naomi thought of all the unknown people sleeping across the planet right now. Children breathing softly, nurses on break, heads on tables, miners in hammocks, runners passed out after long races, each brain quietly singing the same hidden beat. I came here to find life rules, she said slowly, to see if we were part of a larger pattern. Now I know we are. That doesn't tell me what to do, though. Ryan's voice was soft. What does your gut say? Not your training, not your fear. Your gut. Naomi closed her eyes one more time. The map returned. She followed a line down into the mantle under a region where quakes had been building stress for years. She saw how the network could ease that stress over a wide area, preventing a big disaster. Then she shifted to the poles, where ice sheets wobbled. She saw how the system could move heat deep underground, changing melt rates in careful ways. Everywhere she looked, she saw potential, to soften storms, to reduce big swings, to give humanity a more stable stage to live on. She also saw the danger, If misused, the same tools could drown coastlines, crack cities, freeze crops. The vault did not show her human faces. That choice was hers. It only showed what it could do. "It's like holding the brakes and the gas of a world in my hands," she whispered. She opened her eyes. "I won't end this now," she said. Ryan exhaled loudly. Lucas' shoulders tensed. "But I also won't just hand the keys to anyone, including myself," she went on. "We need time. We need rules. We need more voices at this table." "Naomi," the director said carefully, "are you saying you'll maintain contact for now?" "Yes," she said. "You'll stay linked long enough for us to learn more, to see if we can shape a safe way to share this. But if we find proof that full activation will hurt people, I want a way to shut it back down. Promise me you'll work on that." "You have my word," the director said. "Every team we have will look for a safe off switch." Olivia nodded on her screen. "We'll run models with sleep labs worldwide. We'll see if multiple weak dream links can share the load. Maybe we can spread the signal over millions of sleepers instead of a few strong nodes." Lucas looked straight at her, eyes dark but steady. "And he'll stay at this door, making sure no one walks in here by accident. No curious generals, no helpful contractors." "You have my word on that too." Naomi smiled, just a little. "Thanks." The vault seemed to understand. The hum under her skin rose by a fraction, then steadied. The columns brightened, then settled into a clear, strong rhythm that fit her heartbeat but also carried its own structure now. The network under the ice had heard her choice. In the trench near Monterey, the deep structure paused its constant small shifts. Then, at the next 6-second beat, it moved into a new configuration, a stable form that matched the latest map Naomi had just viewed in her mind. In Wyoming, the Tartarian alloy frames stopped testing small pushes and began holding a steady, higher load, like muscles flexed and then held. Under Lake Michigan, the corridor's new side tunnels slowed their growth, as if waiting for further orders. On the world map, new faint nodes continued to wake, but at a measured rate, not a rush. Naomi felt a strange mix of fear and calm. Fear, because she had just told a planet-sized machine to stay awake with her. Calm, because the machine had not rushed to full power. It had matched her choice, not all at once. Step by step, she leaned her head back against the crystal wall and stared up at the unseen ceiling. "You'll stay," she said softly, more to herself than to anyone else. "But we're going to do this slowly, together, on human terms." For the first time, she felt the vault send something that was not a map or a plan. It was a feeling like gratitude, simple and quiet. It had waited for human DNA to willingly complete the circuit. Now, with Naomi's nervous system in the loop, and a sleeping world humming in its dreams above, the network under the ice began, carefully, to wake. The first thing Naomi noticed was the silence. Not the real silence of the vault. It still hummed under her skin, and the blue columns still rose and fell with her heartbeat. It was the silence in her own mind that changed. The rush of maps and images eased. For the first time in hours, she felt like her thoughts belonged mostly to her again. "Naomi," Ryan said, "we're seeing a shift in your EEG. The vault's feedback is dropping to a lower level. Still there, but less intense." Naomi let out a slow breath. "Feels like it. Like someone turned the volume down." Olivia's face appeared on a small screen near the chamber entrance. "Good. That may mean it's listening to your go-slow choice. It's keeping the link but not flooding you." Lucas glanced between Naomi and the surface camera. "So what now? We sit here and hope the planet doesn't do anything strange while we think." "No. Now we test how far this link goes, and how many people can safely share it." Naomi frowned. "You want to put someone else in here?" "Not yet," the director said. "First, we want to see if the vault reacts to another human nervous system from a distance. No direct contact. Olivia has a plan with the sleep labs." Olivia nodded. "We've already recruited volunteers, people with strong, clear REM signals. Some are former patients from our old dream studies. Some are new lab staff. They've signed full consent forms. We'll ask them to sleep while wearing enhanced EEG caps tuned to your vault's frequency. Then we'll see if the vault responds to their REM carriers while you're still linked. Naomi felt a knot form in her stomach. If it does, that means this thing can hook into anyone's REM anywhere. In theory, yes, Olivia said. But we need proof. Right now, all we know is that the vault amplified the general human REM signal. We don't know if it can see individuals or share the load across many brains. And if it can, Lucas said, we have to be sure it doesn't drain them like a battery. Ryan looked at his readings. We'll monitor carefully. Heart rate, oxygen, brain stress levels. The moment we see signs of strain, we pull the plug on our end. Naomi nodded, but worry stayed. She still remembered that stretched feeling, like her nerves had grown across the world. She did not want anyone else feeling that without warning. Okay, she said. What do you want me to do during this? Stay calm, Ryan said. Keep your contact. Don't try to guide anything on purpose. Just feel. That I can do, Naomi said. On the surface, in labs spread across time zones, people lay down on cots and padded tables. Some wore hospital gowns. Others still had their work clothes on. Wires ran from their heads to sleek black boxes marked with a new symbol, a simple line wave with a tiny blue crystal drawn at the center. In Palo Alto, Olivia stood next to the first volunteer, a young man with tattoos on his arms and a bored look in his eyes. You sure about this, Dr. Carter? He asked. You can still say no, Olivia said. Last chance. He shrugged. I've had worse sleep studies. At least this one sounds interesting. Planet talking to dreams and all. Olivia forced a small smile. Close your eyes. Just let yourself drift. We'll keep watch. She gave a signal. Techs around the room began the recordings. Back under the ice, Naomi closed her own eyes. At first she saw the same map she had gotten used to. Lines through the crust, nodes blinking softly. Then, at the edge of her perception, something new flickered. It was small, faint, like a single candle seen from across a dark valley. Naomi, Olivia's voice came through on the shared channel. Our first subject is entering REM. Do you feel anything extra? Maybe, Naomi said. There's a point of light above the ground, not deep like the nodes, closer to the surface. Almost like what? Ryan pressed. Like a person, Naomi said quietly, like a tiny version of the nodes, sitting just under the skin of the planet, not in the rock. As she focused on it, the point sharpened. It pulsed in a faster rhythm than the deep lines, more like a quick heartbeat. Around it, a thin thread reached down into the network. It did not go far, just enough to touch a nearby node. His REM carrier is live, Olivia said in the Palo Alto lab. Look at the overlay. On her screens, the volunteer's REM frequency lined up with the vault's main wave. The match was not perfect like Naomi's, but it was close. Naomi, do you feel any pull? Ryan asked. Any drain? Anything leaving you? She checked in with her body. No, the opposite. It feels easier, like the signal has another path. On her inner map, the thread from the sleeping volunteer carried a tiny part of the rhythm. The burden on the main channel, the one running through her, lessened by a hair. Vault response detected, the director said. Signal strength at your site rose slightly, but Naomi's own output dropped a bit without losing sync. It's adjusting. That means it can share the load, Olivia said. Relief warmed her voice, at least in part. The system can route its pattern through multiple human brains at once. Naomi watched as more faint points lit up around the globe. More subjects going into REM now, Olivia reported. Tokyo, Munich, Sao Paulo, Cape Town. All labs starting the dream phase. In Naomi's mind, those faint points grew. Each new dreamer appeared as a small, flickering light just under the surface. Threads reached from them into the deep network, like tiny roots touching a vast tree. Maybe more. They're weaker than me in terms of signal strength. But they're there. The network loves them. It's tasting each one. Lucas grimaced. Bad word choice. Sorry, Naomi said. It's not eating them. It's matching, aligning. Data scrolled on the surface screens. Heart rates normal, a tech in Palo Alto said, breathing steady, brain activity high, but in usual REM ranges. No signs of panic or stress beyond dream level. Same in Tokyo. Another voice came over the global channel. Subjects are dreaming normally. No spikes in fear or pain bands. Naomi felt the difference inside herself more than she saw it on any graph. Before, the link had been like carrying a heavy backpack alone. Now that weight shifted slightly, spread out, as if a few other hands had taken some of the straps. She still felt like the main carrier, but less like the only one. "It's helping," she said. "My head feels lighter." "Good," Ryan said, clearly relieved. "That means we might be able to design a stable mode where the vault uses millions of sleepers at a very low level, instead of one person at a high level." Olivia nodded. "That was always the hope. A diffuse shared link is safer than a single human as the whole bridge." Naomi wasn't so sure. "It's safer for me," she said, "but I'm not sure about everyone else." Lucas tilted his head. "What do you mean?" Naomi looked inward again. Around the world, the new dream points blinked in quiet rhythm. The threads from them carried a gentle trickle of the network's pattern. None of them were deep. None seemed in pain. But they were connected now, whether they knew it or not. "They didn't really choose this," she said. "They signed a form, yeah, but billions of people out there did not. If we leave this thing on full, it could decide to hook into anyone's REM, anywhere, even at low power." Olivia's voice turned serious. "We've thought about that. Legally, ethically, this is huge. We can let a system auto-connect to every sleeping human without clear rules. At least not yet. At least not ever," Lucas said. "Sorry, but I don't like the idea of anything riding around in people's dreams unless they ask for it." The director cleared his throat. "We are not talking about reading private thoughts. The REM carrier is a simple beat, not content. The network isn't seeing images or memories." "Maybe not," Naomi said, "but it's using a part of us we don't control. That matters." The vault responded to her tension with a small change in tone. The hum under her skin quickened. Some of the faint threads from sleeping volunteers dimmed. The deep network seemed to pull back from them a little, as if respecting her unease. Naomi blinked. "It heard that." "Heard what?" Ryan asked. "My discomfort," she said. "I didn't send a clear command. I just felt uneasy about using people without real choice." The system eased off some of the links. "It's not just following REM, it's following my values." Olivia sounded thoughtful. "If that's true, then your emotional state is part of the control input. It's not just heartbeat and brain waves, it's how you feel." Lucas gave a short, humorless laugh. "So now your conscience is literally wired into the planet." Naomi felt both exposed and oddly comforted. "Good," she said. "It should be. If I'm going to sit in the loop, it needs to know what I will and won't allow." "Can you try something?" Olivia asked, gently. "Think about making the network take less from the sleepers. Ask it to keep their load as low as possible." Naomi shut her eyes and formed the intent. Keep them safe. Use the smallest touch. No more unless they agree. On her inner map, the thin threads from the volunteers softened. They did not disappear, but they stopped growing. The main weight shifted back toward her. "Drain on Naomi is rising slightly again," Ryan said, "but the volunteers' metrics just smoothed. Whatever you did, it's working." Naomi opened her eyes. "Okay, so feelings matter." The director sounded more sure now. "This tells us something important. The vault's ethics are not fixed. It responds to the human in the loop. If that human cares about consent and safety, the system adjusts. If that human doesn't," he didn't finish. Ryan did. "Then it might still respect basic no-force rules, but it won't care about those finer lines, like how much load it puts on strangers while they sleep." Naomi's skin crawled. "So who sits in this chair matters as much as the machine itself." "Exactly," Olivia said, "which means we need to be very careful about who we ever let take your place, if anyone." Naomi thought of generals, CEOs, leaders of all kinds, people who loved control, people who believed their goals justified any cost. "Then we don't let them," she said flatly. Lucas nodded. "Agreed." The director did not argue. "For now, that is easy. Only a handful of us even know this vault exists. Long term, we'll have to plan. But that is not today's task. Ryan looked at Naomi's numbers again. How are you feeling, really? Any pain? Any strange side effects besides the visions? Naomi did a full body check. Tired. Hungry. My left arm's a little numb, but I think that's from staying in one position too long. No headache. No nausea. My thoughts feel crowded, but not painful. Crowded? How? Olivia asked. Naomi searched for words. Like I'm looking through more than just my own eyes. Like I can lean into other views if I choose. Don't, Ryan said quickly. Not yet. That sounds like you could slide into other people's dream states. We're not ready for that. I wasn't planning to, Naomi said, but curiosity tugged at her, sharp and familiar. In her mind, some of the surface points, the sleeping volunteers, glowed a bit brighter, like open doors. She did not step toward them. She stayed with the deep network instead. The trenches, the mountains, the tunnels under lakes. Can you see anything new about the old sites? Lucas asked, trying to shift the focus. The trench city, the corridors, Wyoming. Naomi turned her attention there. Under Monterey, the trench structure had settled into a stable layout. From above, it looked like a hexagon grid laid inside the deep cut in the seafloor. Inside each hexagon, smaller shapes pulsed slowly. She saw how, if needed, the structure could flex and twist to spread out a sudden shock, a big quake, a landslide before it reached the surface. Trench City is a shock absorber, she said. A deep cushion. It can spread out hits over time and distance. In Wyoming, the Tartarian alloy framework gleamed bright in her inner view. It stretched not just up through the sudden mountain, but down into older rock. It looked like a skeleton waiting for muscle. Right now, it held tension gently, like a spring held half-loaded. Wyoming is a stress frame, she went on. It can either hold back plate movement or release it in a smooth roll. It's like a hand on a doorknob, ready to open or hold shut. Under Lake Michigan, the corridors formed a honeycomb pattern through stable rock. New branches grew like roots, reaching for specific directions. She saw how they could be filled with crystal or fluid to carry heat, sound, or charge. Michigan is a channel network, Naomi said. It can move energy, heat, vibration, maybe more, between different parts of the crust. Ryan whistled softly. So we have shock absorbers, stress frames, and channels, all waiting for a control signal that fits our dreams, and we just gave it that, Lucas said. Naomi nodded. Yes, but we're also sitting in the driver's seat. The director spoke again. Our next steps are clear then. 1. Define safe operating rules. 2. Test slow, local adjustments in places where changes would help and not harm. 3. Build a framework, legal, scientific, ethical, for how humanity even talks about owning or sharing this thing. Step 4, Olivia added. Figure out how to hand off or share Naomi's role before her body gives out. Naomi heard the worry under her sister's calm words. Thanks for the vote of confidence. You know what I mean, Olivia said. You can do this forever, little sister, even if you wanted to. Naomi nodded. I know. Lucas looked at the crystal doorway. Maybe sometime soon, we try a second link from in here, under very controlled conditions. Someone with a similar REM profile, carefully monitored. Ryan shook his head. Not until we understand more. Right now, Naomi's emotional control seems to guide the system's behavior. A second person could scramble that, or push it in a different direction. The vault pulsed gently around Naomi, as if agreeing. She took another slow breath. Can I ask, are people outside our bubble starting to notice anything? She asked. Strange dreams? Odd weather? Social media noise? The director pulled up a public feed monitor. Minor reports of unusual dreams in some regions, but nothing beyond normal variance. No big environmental shifts yet. So far, most of the world is still living their usual life, unaware that a crystal brain under the ice is humming in time with their sleep. Naomi pictured a girl in some city far away, turning in her bed, dreaming about flying or falling. never guessing that her brainwaves were touching ancient lines in the stone beneath her. "We can keep this secret forever," she said. "Not if we're going to use it." "I know," the director replied, "but we can keep it long enough to understand it, to be ready for the rush when the story breaks." "Then we better hurry," Lucas said. Time moved in strange ways in the vault. Hours passed. Naomi ate a nutrient bar. Ryan sent down on a simple rope line. They had to keep electronics to a minimum near the crystal, so the snacks were delivered with old tools, bags, cords, human hands. She used the bathroom in a small side tent they had rigged on the ledge. It felt absurdly normal, all things considered. Between the daily tasks, she watched the network stretch and test itself. Tiny nudges here and there along fault lines, minor shifts in ocean heat deep below the surface. She made sure nothing big happened without her say. Each time she felt the system gathering too much force, she sent a feeling of caution, and it backed down. "Naomi," Olivia said during a quiet window, "how do you feel about us? Us. Humanity. I mean, now that you know we're part of this design." Naomi thought about that. "Smaller," she said, "but also bigger. We're not the center of the universe, but we're part of a machine that can keep a whole world balanced. That's not nothing." "Does it scare you?" Olivia asked. "Yes," Naomi said at once. "But so does flying a plane, or running a city, or raising a child. We've done all that. This is just a bigger version, with deeper risks." Lucas let out a breath. Bigger is an understatement. Ryan looked at his watch. "Naomi, it's time to rest again. Real rest, as much as we can give you. The vault seems to like your half-sleep state, but we need to keep your body on schedule." "I'm not sure it will let me," she said. "It keeps pulling my brain toward REM." "Try," Olivia said. "Think about sleep for yourself, not for the network. Ask it to give you space." Naomi smiled faintly. "You're very polite with your machines." "Always," Olivia said. "You get better behavior that way." Naomi closed her eyes and sent a clear intention. "Let me rest. Guard the planet gently while I'm gone. No big moves without me." The hum under her quieted down another notch. The maps dimmed, the surface points from the sleepers, the deep nodes, the bright frames, all faded to embers. "EEG is shifting to normal pre-sleep patterns," Ryan said. "Vault feedback is low but steady. It's holding a baseline and letting her drift." "Good," Olivia said. "We'll keep the volunteers in their cycles too. Short sessions, plenty of breaks, no one gets pushed." Naomi felt softness roll over her like a blanket. The crystal at her back felt warm now, like sun-warmed stone. "Through other eyes," she thought as she drifted. "Through other hearts. Through dreams." She did not know how long she would stay in this role. She did not know what the world would say when it learned that human sleep was part of a hidden design. She only knew this. For the first time, humanity had a way to talk with the deep, slow life of its planet. Not with drills or bombs, not with blind meters, but with the quiet, steady beat that had been hiding in their own brains all along. As her thoughts thinned and sleep finally took her, the network under the ice watched through her eyes and through the eyes of a few scattered dreamers. It waited. It learned. It breathed in stone and water. And above, a world turned, still mostly unaware that in a warm blue, all far below the ice, a tired astrobiologist and an ancient machine had started to decide, together, what kind of future Earth would have. Naomi woke to the sound of her own name. "Naomi, time to come back." It was Olivia's voice in her ear, calm, but thick with feeling. Naomi's eyes opened to blue light and hanging crystal columns. Her hand was still on the wall. Her legs were numb. Her mouth was dry. "How long?" she asked. 6 hours, Ryan said from the ledge. He looked like he had not moved, except for the new lines of worry on his face. "You cycled through normal sleep. The vault held a low, steady link, but it didn't drag you into those heavy maps again." Naomi tested her body. Her fingers tingled. Her back ached. Her mind felt clearer than it had in days. "The network?" she asked. "Any big changes while I was out?" Nothing major, Lucas answered. He was sitting just outside the opening, boots resting against crystal, helmet in his hands. Minor adjustments at the trench. A tiny, controlled release along a fault in the Pacific. The Wyoming frames flexed a bit, then settled, all at safe levels. No quakes that people on the surface even felt. The vault kept to your last orders, Olivia added from Palo Alto. Slow moves only. No big experiments. It kept you safe. It kept the world safe. It can do both at once. Naomi let out a long breath. Good. The hum under her skin was still there, but softer. Not a flood. More like a radio playing in another room. Status of the sleepers, she asked. We ended the volunteer REM sessions, Olivia said. Everyone woke up without serious problems. A few reported vivid dreams, but nothing harmful. For now, we're keeping the shared load small. The vault seems willing to run mostly through you, while it learns what we want. Naomi nodded. So we're still in the testing phase. Yes, the mission director said from the control room, but we're reaching the end of what we can do down there on first contact. We've learned the basics, enough to know what this is, enough to know how dangerous it could be, and how helpful. He paused. Now we need to decide what happens next, for you, for this network, for everyone. Naomi pushed herself slowly to her feet. Her legs shook. Ryan reached in as far as he dared without stepping through and offered a hand, catching her elbow when she wobbled. You okay? He asked. Getting there, she said. She kept her right palm on the wall. The columns brightened a little with the change in her posture, then settled. They were not copying her in every tiny way anymore. They had their own steady rhythm now, with her pulse layered on top. Olivia, Naomi said, how much have you told the higher-ups? Olivia gave a tight, dry half-smile. Too much and not enough. They know we've found a planet-wide system. They know it's tuned to human REM frequency. They know you're the main interface right now. They do not know the full depth of control options yet, that it could steer quakes, storms, ice. We're holding that back until we have a plan. Buy time, Lucas said. Smart. The director did not argue. Governments will want this. They will fear it. Some will want to shut it away. Some will want to use it as a weapon or tool. Our most important job now is to make sure no one panics and no one gets to flip big switches alone. Naomi stared at the nearest column. She could feel the network waiting, not impatient, just ready. Do we have rules yet? She asked. Real ones, not just go slow. Ryan pulled up a list on his wrist pad and read it. More for himself than for her. Draft rules, he said. 1. No deliberate large-scale changes to tectonics, climate, or sea level without global agreement. 2. No using the network to target specific nations or regions for harm. 3. No connecting sleepers or other humans to the system without full informed consent. 4. The human link in the vault must be selected with strict ethical checks, not just skill or loyalty. 5. There must always be an agreed way to step back to reduce the link, even at cost, if the system starts to go wrong. Olivia added. 6. The operation and nature of this network cannot be kept fully secret in the long term. People have a right to know that their dreams carry a signal. But the release must be slow, careful, and honest, or it will cause more harm than good. Naomi listened. The rules sounded right. They also sounded fragile. Words are easy, she said. Enforcing them is hard. Yes, the director said. That's why we want you to come up, Naomi. At least for a while. She blinked. Up? You want me to leave the vault? Yes, he said. Your body needs a break. Your brain needs scans we can do down there. We also need your voice in the meetings that are coming. You were the first link. That matters. If faceless committees talk about this without you in the room, I don't trust the outcome. Naomi looked around the crystal chamber. She felt two pulls at once. One pull said, stay. Stay where no one can twist this. Stay where you can feel every move under the ground. Stay plugged in and guard it yourself. The other pull said, go. Go where the talking happens. Go where the rules are written. Go where people will try to claim this thing and stop them from turning it into a toy or a threat. "What happens to the network if I step away?" she asked. "For real this time, not just sleep." Ryan looked at his data. "We can only predict, but based on the times you loosened the link for rest, we think it will drop to a lower power setting. The carrier will still flow, but weaker. The nodes will stay awake enough to keep helping in small ways, but not enough to reshape anything big. It's like the difference between idling and full gear. Can it wake fully again later?" she asked. Olivia answered, "Yes, if you reconnect, or if another human with a similar REM pattern links in. The system has learned what humans look like now. It won't forget. So I'm not making some permanent final off choice," Naomi said. "I'm just stepping back from the edge. For now," the director said, "the real final choices need more minds than ours. More time, more study, more consent." Naomi closed her eyes. This time, the maps did not slam into her mind. They came gently, like someone opening a window a crack. She looked at the globe of lines and nodes, the bright points under Monterey, Wyoming, Lake Michigan, and the other revealed sites glowed calmly. The faint new nodes she had seen before were still there, but they were not rushing to life. The network had followed her slow choice. She sent a feeling of what she wanted. Hold steady, keep smoothing the worst edges. No big actions without a clear, chosen link. The lines seemed to pulse once in answer, like a slow nod. "Will it be okay if I leave?" she asked inside her own head, not sure if she was talking to herself or to the machine. The answer came as a picture. The network dimmed to a softer light, but did not go dark. It kept a thin, quiet thread reaching up toward the vault chamber, like a phone line left on the hook. "It'll idle," Naomi said aloud. "It knows how to run a background. It's been doing that for a long time. It can wait for us to decide what to do next." Lucas let out a breath he seemed to have been holding for hours. "Then I vote you come out, Naomi. Let it idle. We regroup. We tell the world a version of this that won't cause collapse." Ryan nodded. "Your brain can be the main cable forever. Even if the network behaves, your body won't. You need food, sleep, normal light, and someone up here needs to be able to say, 'I've seen it. It's real. It's not a god, and it's not a weapon. It's a system, and we are part of it.'" Olivia's voice softened. "And I'm your sister. I want you alive. I want to hug you without 4 kilometers of ice between us." Naomi opened her eyes and looked at the wall. Her palm rested there. The skin was a little pale where it pressed. "Will it miss me?" she asked quietly, surprising herself with the thought. Ryan gave a small, sad chuckle. "Falling for your machine now?" "No," she said. "Not like that. But it's been alone a long time, waiting. Then it finally got a full, clear link. Then I cut it off. For a moment, she felt a faint emotion that was not quite her own. Not sadness, not anger, more like acceptance, patience. "It can wait," she said. "That's what it was built to do. To wait until humans choose to be in the loop." The director cleared his throat. "Naomi, I won't order you. But if you're asking my recommendation, step back now. Let's not decide the planet's fate in a week under the ice. Let's take months, years, if needed, with more eyes, more brains, more hearts." Naomi thought of the quiet question that had driven her all her life. Are we alone? Are we just an accident? Now she knew. Humans were not alone. They were part of something that reached through stone and water, tuned to their own secret rhythms. They were not accidents. They were part of a design. That answer would not vanish if she took her hand away. "All right," she said. Her voice shook just a bit. "I'm coming out." Ryan's shoulders dropped in relief. Lucas' jaw unclenched. Olivia closed her eyes for a second, then opened them again. "Do it slowly," Ryan said. "If you feel anything bad, stop and push back. Don't just yank." Naomi swallowed and nodded. She looked once more around the chamber, at the tall columns, at the soft blue light, at the lines of faint glow running under. Her boots like veins. "Thank you," she said softly to the vault, not sure if it could hear words as such, "for not hurting us, for waiting, for listening." Then, very gently, She began to peel her palm away from the crystal. At first, nothing happened. Her skin lifted a fraction of a millimeter. The smooth surface felt almost sticky, but there was no real pull, just a sense of reluctance, like two magnets still half joined. The hum under her skin rose in pitch for a moment, then started to fade. On the surface, graphs jumped. Signal strength dropping, the director called. Vault output down 20%, 30, 40. The blue light in the columns dimmed, but did not turn off. Their pulse slowed. The match to Naomi's heartbeat grew loose, then drifted. Inside her mind, the map of the network pulled back. The globe shrank. Lines thinned. Nodes grew fainter. Surface dream points went back to almost nothing. "You okay?" Ryan asked sharply. Naomi blinked. She felt lightheaded, but not in pain. "Like taking off a tight helmet," she said. "I hadn't noticed how squeezed my head was until now." Her palm left the crystal completely. A thin tingle ran up her arm, then vanished. The blue light in the hall dropped to a quiet glow, like moonlight instead of day. The low hum became a very faint buzz, almost below hearing, or maybe just in her memory now. "Vault has shifted to baseline mode," the director said. "Carrier still present, but low. Global nodes are idling. No signs of rising energy." Naomi took a careful step back. Her boots scuffed on the crystal floor. Her heart pounded, but the room no longer matched it. The columns kept their own slow beat now, independent. She turned toward the opening. Lucas' eyes were on her. His hand was outstretched, stopping just shy of the invisible line where his suit systems always died. "Come on," he said. "Time to let someone else babysit the world for a bit." Naomi walked to the doorway. The circle's edge felt like a skin she had to pass through. For a second, something in her chest tightened, like she was leaving a safe room for a dangerous one instead of the other way around. She stepped across. Nothing snapped. Nothing screamed. Her body stayed her own. Behind her, the chamber stayed open. The blue light did not vanish. The vault did not close. It simply waited. Naomi's knees almost buckled as gravity felt different. A tiny shift, more psychological than real. Ryan grabbed her elbow again. Lucas put a steadying hand on her shoulder. "You did it," Ryan said. "Still got all your parts?" Lucas added. Naomi checked. Arms, legs, mind, heart, all present, all pounding. "I think so," she said. Her ears were full of the odd quiet of normal reality. The vault's voice had been so constant that its absence made her feel like something had been cut away. But under that, there was relief. "Naomi, your vitals are adjusting toward normal," Ryan said. "Brain activity is dropping toward standard wake patterns. There are still strange bands, but nothing like before. You're you again." Olivia's voice softened. "Welcome back to yourself, little sister." Naomi smiled, tired and real. "Feels weird." "Everything will feel weird for a while," Olivia said. "Well, help." Lucas guided Naomi toward the ladder that led up the shaft to the base station. Each rung felt heavier than it should. 4 kilometers of ice pressed above them. But step by step she climbed. As she rose, the faint sense of the network faded further. By the time she reached the access platform halfway up, the maps in her mind were gone. Only thin traces of that other view remained, like half-remembered dreams. At the top, in the cramped airlock, she passed from the icy tunnel into human space, metal walls, bright lights, the smell of coffee and people. Applause broke out. Not loud, and not from a crowd. There were not many on site, but it was real. Techs and scientists clapped. Some had tears in their eyes, others looked stunned. Naomi blinked in the harsh light. The sound felt strange after so much quiet, but also kind. "Enough," she said, half laughing, half embarrassed. "I just touched a wall." "You did more than that," Ryan said beside her. The director stepped forward. He was older than she had expected when she first came down here. Hair mostly gray, lines deep around his eyes. He held out his hand. Naomi shook it. "Dr. Carter," he said, "on behalf of this team, and as much as I can speak for such a big thing, on behalf of this world, thank you." She shrugged, shoulders heavy. I didn't do it alone. The vault made choices too, and so did all those sleepers, even if they didn't know it. That, Olivia said from a nearby screen, is exactly how we need to talk about this. Not Naomi saved the world, or Naomi almost broke it. Naomi helped us see what was already under our feet. Lucas lifted a mug in the background. And under our beds. They laughed, a small frayed sound that still felt good. Later, after medical checks and warm food and a shower that felt like heaven, Naomi sat in the base conference room. On the wall, a large screen showed a live view of the vault chamber from a remote optical camera they'd managed to place near the entrance without killing it. Blue light still pulsed inside, slow and steady. The opening remained open, a perfect circle in the crystal. So, Naomi said, wrapped in a thick sweater, hands around a cup of tea. What now? The director leaned on the table. Now we start the hardest part, telling the truth, in parts, to a world that isn't ready, and building a system to guard another system. Olivia's face appeared on one of the smaller screens, now in a larger office filled with other scientists and a few people in suits. We'll start with the science community. Controlled leaks, peer-reviewed data on the REM carrier link, without full details about the vault. We need other minds to check our readings before we tell everyone. Ryan nodded. Meanwhile, we quietly set up an international council to oversee any future use of the network. Not just one country, not just one group, many voices, including people who understand dreams, ethics, and law, not just rock and math. And me? Long, Naomi asked. The director smiled slightly. You, Dr. Carter, get a front row seat whether you want it or not. You've seen it from the inside. You understand both biology and the deep environment. You also showed you care about consent and safety. We need that. Naomi sipped her tea. It tasted too strong and too weak at the same time. What if someone wants to force a new link? Put someone else down there who will do what they say. Then we make sure they can't, Lucas said. He was leaning in a corner, arms crossed. We know how the vault works now. It won't fully open without a human nervous system it accepts. Well-guard access, physically and politically. And if someone tries anyway, they'll have to deal with all of us. And with the vault, Naomi added, it has rules. It won't be a simple tool. It listens. It pushes back. Olivia nodded. Well, put that front and center in every briefing. This is not a weapon. It's not a genie. It's a partner that has its own limits. Built by someone who cared about what humans choose. Someone, Ryan echoed. We still don't know who. Naomi looked at the feed of the empty crystal hall. Maybe that's okay, she said. Maybe we don't need to know everything about who made it to use it well. We drive cars without meeting the engine designers. We live in cities without knowing every builder. What matters is that we act with care, because now we know the scale. The director tapped the table. We'll still look for old structures, for signs this design exists elsewhere. Mars, icy moons, deep oceans. But yes, knowing how to behave matters more than knowing who wrote the first instructions. They sat in silence for a few moments, each looking at the blue glow on the screen. Naomi broke it. Do you ever think about what this means for those old stories? About the earth being alive, about gods under mountains, spirits in the sea. Ryan smiled tiredly. Turns out people weren't as wrong as we thought. The names were off, the details fuzzy, but the idea that the planet has layers of life we don't see, that part was true. Lucas nodded, and the idea that our dreams matter. Naomi set her cup down. I used to lie awake as a kid, she said, wondering if anything I did would ever matter in the big picture. If humans would just burn bright for a while and then fade, leaving nothing but trash behind. This doesn't fix all that, but it does mean something. We're wired in. Our dreams shape the ground we walk on, even if just a little. And now, a lot more, Olivia said softly. Naomi looked back at the crystal hall on the screen. Under the ice, the network under the ice lay in standby, like a vast animal sleeping lightly, one eye half open. It could be roused again. It would be, someday. Maybe by her, maybe by someone yet unborn. When that day comes, she said, I want us to be ready. I want the person who takes my place. Not as the key, but as the link to know what they're holding. To know that this thing was built to listen to the best in us, not the worst. Ryan raised his cup to that future person. May they have your patience and more sleep. Lucas lifted his mug of coffee, and may they get better food down there than you did. Olivia smiled from the screen, and may they still call home. They all drank. Outside, the wind swept over the Antarctic ice. The sky was clear. The storms that might have formed over the next week shifted a little, pressure balancing just so. Deep in the ocean trenches, stress eased along quiet paths. In the mantle, heat moved in narrow plumes, shaped not by blind chance alone, but by a gentle, steady hand on a hidden system. Most of the world did not notice. Children went to school. Workers cursed at traffic. People laughed, fought, loved, slept. And as they slept, their brains still hummed the old quiet REM song, the tiny carrier note that had always been there. Now, though, a small group of humans knew what it connected to. Naomi went back to her bunk that night and lay down. No cables on her head, no crystal under her palm. Just a thin blanket, a firm pillow, and the familiar ache of a body coming down from too much strain. When sleep came, it came fast. She dreamed of blue corridors and a globe of light. But this time, the map stayed at a kind distance. She did not feel pulled in. She felt accompanied. In the dream, she stood on a clear floor and looked down through layers of rock and water. Lines of light ran in gentle curves. At their crossings, soft glows pulsed, slow and kind. Beside her in the dream stood a tall shape made of the same blue light, without a face, without arms. Not a person, not a monster, just a presence. You waited, she said in the dream. It did not answer with words. It just existed, calm and patient. We'll be back, Naomi said. When we're ready. When we're many, not just one. When we know how to share this without breaking it or each other. The presence brightened a little, as if in agreement. Naomi woke with the feeling still in her chest. Above her, the base creaked softly in the cold. Beyond that, the ice groaned and shifted. Beneath all of it, deeper than any drill, the network under the ice held its place. It was not gone. It was not fully awake. It was waiting for more hands, for more minds, for clearer choices, for the day humanity would be ready to take its place as the conscious layer of a planet-sized machine, not by accident, not in a rush, but with open eyes. Naomi turned on her side and closed her eyes again. For the first time in a long while, her last thought before drifting off was peaceful. We are not alone. We are part of something. And now at last we know.